Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a Film and TV podcast. We're your host. I am Daniel Parr.
And I'm Erwin Trejo.
And number one, thank you so much for listening. Number two, what are they going to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe.
Please do. Erwin, what are we reviewing?
I'm thinking about Smile 2.
No, wrong
Venom
movie.
3, The Last Dance?
Venom, The Last Dance, directed by Kelly Marcel. Also written by, for the first time...
Is that a male or female?
It's a woman, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And story by Tom Hardy, again. This is the trilogy capper. We'll get into all of that. I also love Tom Hardy. This is the trilogy capper for the Venom films. I know this was Erwin's most anticipated movie of the year, so I gotta ask him. Erwin...
It's not, dude. It's probably like Nosferatu or something.
Dude, okay. I think mine's
remember...
Gladiator, actually. Really? Yeah.
I think I'm excited about it because I'm like, I just love the director.
It looks so good. Yeah.
I mean, both of those movies are good.
Let me go ahead and ask you something here.
Me trying to avoid talking about Venom 3.
So with this movie,
yes.
Keep in mind, by the way, everybody, this is going to have full spoilers. This is a brand new blockbuster movie. What is there to spoil, though, in this? We'll see, I suppose.
We saw
Venom, The Last Dance. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between?
I'm somewhere between.
Are you really? So does that mean you liked it, or what does that mean for you?
I think it was okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I hated it. I didn't hate it.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So we're going to end up repeating a lot of what we said about the previous two because we've gone on record with the first two. But if I were to answer this, I would answer it exactly like how I thought of the first two. I hate the first half of each of these. Like, I think genuinely...
The first, like we said, hour of it, it's always slow.
It's always slow, or they can't find their footing, or the editing is weird, or the writing is weird. And this one, I'm not even talking about good weird. I'm not talking about, like, how sometimes superhero movies are kind of like... Yes, we might be a little bit hypocritical here because we both like Joker. And...
We did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And here... Though, I think that, you know, sometimes people say, oh, Marvel fatigue, Marvel blah, 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 whatever. Every time I watch...
Sony fatigue.
I am Sony fatigued. And you haven't even seen half their shit.
No. And I've seen Morbius.
I have? No, I'm not counting the GIF that you always talk about.
Morbius in 1 minute?
No, so...
I've seen the B movie like 10 million times.
I said Morbius. That's his nickname. Morbius is not good. Madam Web is terrible. But each of these, I thought, like, okay,
Dude,
so...
this looks like a butt.
The review... It does, yeah. The reviews for this are, you know, basically like the rest of them. None of them are critically acclaimed. I think the second one is the closest to anything resembling that.
I can't, dude.
They are the number one movies in the world.
Is the second one the shortest one?
Yes, it's like straight, flat 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think the second one's probably my favorite one.
Why? Because it's the shortest one?
I think it's just because Carnage is in it. And I'm
do what, though? Like, nothing.
Let there be carnage.
But there was none.
I mean, he said the line.
They go to the church, and that's about it.
Yeah, but they said the title in the movie.
I know.
They don't say...
The Last Dance. This is Venom, The Last Dance. They do say Venom, so I guess they do say the first one. Venom. So let's go ahead, and we got a little bit ahead of ourselves here.
Or did you love it, hate it, or somewhere between?
I hated the first half of this, and then I enjoyed the second half
as a whole
quite a bit, so I ended up thinking it was also okay. We're going to... It sort of balanced itself out. When this movie started, though... Yes. I thought this was going to suck. I like genuinely the prologue that with Noel that feels like they added it because people were like, who's this guy? And it just felt like one of those, hey, we realized we didn't explain anything. So our test audiences were like, we're confused. So they added some like explainer at the beginning that.
Yeah, honestly, if you just took that out.
It doesn't change the movie.
It doesn't change the movie whatsoever.
No, not at all. And then this villain. Yes, I saw a bunch of tweets that were saying, oh, I bet that guy never gets out of that chair. Guess what? He never gets out of the fucking chair in this movie.
I think just, if you knew what to expect from watching the other two movies, you knew what you were going to get from this one.
No, 100%. Did you expect anything else than what you got?
Even with the trailer itself, you're like, well, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, as the first two.
Yeah.
So we'll go through our pros and our cons, but in order for us to get into that, what do you think of the first two movies, generally speaking?
I thought they're okay.
Yeah.
They're fine. I never expected those two movies to make $1 billion. I remember when you sent me like the message of how the first one made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And after that, they were like, we're going to make 3 of these.
Yeah, and then this is supposed to be... I'm getting ahead of myself here, but this movie goes for this like grand, sentimental, emotional feeling finale, and you're just left with a sense of like, I bet this would work, this exact same scene, everything, if it were in something else.
Yeah.
And I even told you, like, this movie, I felt... So, before we get into that, I do want to address my... not issues, but feelings on the first 2 as well. They're also okay. Like, I genuinely think that these movies have been... If you were looking for the most consistent superhero trilogy I've ever seen, I guess this is it. In sense of
that's true. I can't even think of another franchise. Like, a lot of franchises, like, these go up and down, or they're great all the way through. It's just so weird to see a franchise where it's just very consistent of, like, meh.
Yeah, no, this is the most stagnant, like, it's never...
It's kind of impressive, I'm not gonna lie.
It's impressive in the sense that you're like, you have made the same mistakes, the same positives, and some of the same, like, strange tonal shifts.
How are people not tired of this?
No, and I actually do... I heard people say that some of them were disappointed in this third one. My question is, how? They're the same movie, like, 3 separate times. And that is to say, I did enjoy some of the stuff in this one. I do in all of them. I think 2 is my least favorite, actually.
Really?
Because I remember that one has the most egregious editing problems. This one has them as well, all over the place. When this movie started, I thought that the editing shifts, it could not figure out what to do.
Whenever they just showcase Nolan, like, his presence in his world, I could not see anything. It was all, I'm like, I am darkness. And then I'm like, yeah, literally, I can't see anything.
No, whenever they're like, we're looking for the black. I'm like, all of it is. I can't see a fucking thing. No, and they're like, also, why did he call him that? And then they later refer to him as Venom. I'm like, so you do remember his name. They're acting like they're co-workers on their planet or whatever.
Dude, okay, let's get to the pros first, because there's very little. Because they're all in the same...
I liked...
Every single movie. It's when Venom and Eddie Brock, I think they're the strong points of this, the entire franchise, especially in the last one, I would say. Anytime you just see Venom himself, too, I'm like, I like Venom.
The design's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fault that. The design's here, since we're spoiling things, the symbiotes this time around as well. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
The first 2, Carnage is Carnage, of course. You can't really fuck that one up. But the first one, I remember being like, what is this? What am I looking at? It was...
Oh, the Riot one?
Yeah, with Riz Ahmed. I was just like... His name's Riz. I was just like, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
And I heard some people complaining about this one. I was like, no, I can actually see the action scenes this time around.
Yeah, that's true.
And the second one, I remember having so many flaws in the sense that I'm like, nothing's interesting to me here, in the sense that...
I think because they had, like, so many, like, A-list actors in it, too.
Yeah.
You would think that that movie itself would be better. But I think that's why I'm giving it more credit, because I'm like, I like the actors in this. No,
remember when I was telling you...
Oh, dude, wait, I'm sorry. I was going to ask you. So... In this movie, right?
Yeah.
There was a scene. I think I have it like twice. The scene that they were the general guy.
Oh, she would tell it G4. Yeah.
Whenever he called somebody saying like, "Can I take over?" And it was that guy in that secret room, and he's like standing. Who do you think that was?
If I were to guess, it was anybody that might be trying to go back to the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 thing with the guy in the hat or whatever.
I'm betting that guy sounded so familiar to the guy in Venom 1 and 2, the boyfriend that was dating Michelle Williams.
Why would he come back?
Exactly! And I'm like, what? No, I'm telling you, it sounded exactly like... I'm going to look him up.
Dude,
I had to.
Okay, while you do that, I'll go ahead and address my pros. Whenever we were talking about this, though, earlier, I was like, oh yeah, Michelle Williams was in
That's what I'm saying.
Movies.
Venom.
And I remember people were like talking about Venomette or whatever her name is whenever she like...
That's good. That's good.
I don't remember her full name. Reed Scott, is he in the first movie?
Yeah, he's in the first. This is the first one.
Okay. But I also have the same... Oh, he changes... Okay, I guess you're right.
Yeah. But, like, they never showcased, like, his face.
Yeah.
It was just him behind it, and it was just his voice.
Well, because obviously, they keep marketing this as the trilogy closer. Mm-hmm. But I told you, whenever people talk about Marvel fatigue, and they say that all these movies feel the same, I think that I were to describe how they feel about other MCU movies, I feel about every single time I watch one of these. I'm like, this is so, like, standard stuff. There's nothing interesting here or new. And whenever they choose to go over their chemistry is when I'm like, that is so obviously the strong point here.
Yeah.
2, my biggest issue was that they leaned into it too much and the jokes didn't work, and I just didn't find it that funny.
Yeah.
This one I do think is a funnier movie than the second one. I think they nail that humor a bit more this time around.
I don't know. I also don't think I remember the first 2 so much because I feel like I've seen the first Venom movie many times.
I've seen it like 4 times. Yeah.
But just like out and about.
Yeah.
Where I would just casually see it, like, okay, I guess it's on.
No,
I'm
listened,
watching it. Second one, I think I've only seen it once.
I've seen it twice, I think.
Okay.
I listened back to our very first episode ever, and it was Venom Let There Be Carnage. And it's exactly what we sometimes describe movies as. We both called it a TNT movie, where we were like the first one you just like watch on TV all the time. Yeah. It's just always there. Because I could imagine myself seeing that scene where he's like jumping on the motorcycle through the street, like over and over, and then they show a montage of that in this one. But I have the same pros.
When they did flashbacks to the very first one and second one.
Can I tell you? We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that because I really did want to. I wanted to talk about that on its own. Their chemistry, Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy. It's like they knew each other.
Is the best it's ever been, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because
I love Tom Hardy.
I do too, and underrated performance because he's trapped in these. His mannerisms, his vocal inflections, everything, his sort of spastic energy, all of that is really well done. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's so overshadowed by the fact that he's stuck in these like 1 act, 2 act, 3 act thing where you know what's gonna happen. The bad guy comes to Earth, and then the second act is like we're hunting you down too, and then the third act is like what's gonna happen now?
Yeah.
And
sacrifice.
That's the only thing that I feel jaded by, and they do the sacrifice thing essentially every single time in these movies. They even flash back to the first time he does it in the first movie. Dang. And my pros are that, and shout out to the fact that they got him in a pair of off-white Jordan 5s. Just that's a me thing.
Alright, man. You shoe guy.
I am, because that was a whole subplot in this movie though. That he needed a pair of shoes.
Oh yeah, that's true. But why did you know he was wearing?
Because I want that shoe and I recognized it really well. Okay. Also because
when was he wearing like those pairs?
In the final act, whenever Venom grabs him, he goes, "Best shoes ever." And then I looked that up, and those are Tom Hardy's personal pair, which is why they wrote that in. There's like
you wrote that in.
There's like 2 meta jokes in this, and one of them's like, "I've won Sexy Man awards before." I'm like,
"Oh,
that's right."
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I got that too. I was like, I got that reference.
It was like, at the little Captain America thing. Yeah. It's like I understand that. And that is it. And I like the third act of this movie. I thought the second half of this movie is pretty fun. Also,
just because like most things started to happen, and like he actually became Venom. You
and I aren't going to agree with this. Yeah. I liked Reese Fawn's stuff in this movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't really like the family.
Yeah,
I thought the family was okay. I think for me, what bothered me the most is that, which sucks. I didn't want to bring it into, where I hate how some people like just theorize so much just based off a trailer sometimes too.
Oh yeah, no, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I never enjoy that type of aspect when people, whenever they watch a trailer and they're like, how does this connect? How does this connect to other things? And I'm like, why don't we just watch the movie first?
No,
and see how it goes along. And people are like, well, the mom is Aunt May and the little kid is Peter Parker. I'm like, how does that make sense?
And then he's a lizard?
Yeah.
No, you and I both, I mean, if we wanted to get even more views, we would do trailer breakdowns and reactions. We're not going to do that because
no, we shouldn't.
Because there's like no point.
Yeah,
just wait until the actual movie comes out. And I do feel that the actors in here that are from the MCU are kind of stunt casting. I do think that they must have cast them to try and trick people into thinking that they
again, money's money too. So
they already, the first 2 both I think made $1 billion. So what's to stop this one from? I don't know how it'll do. I never know, and then they always do insane. Mm-hmm. And I get it though, but I think I'm not gonna move into negatives yet.
Oh, okay.
Because I think we have way more, even if we both thought this was okay.
Yeah.
The other positive, like I said, is some of the action, but did some of it drive you crazy though, in the sense that it could have been done better.
Oh, that's a negative, my guy.
Yeah, no, I know, but like, I like the third act because I like the designs for the symbiotes. I could actually see them, and I liked the colors that they used as well. But this one that kind of drove me crazy was the one with the river.
Oh,
I thought it could have been done so much better. Like the execution's there, him hopping from animal to animal. That was very clever.
Yeah,
and
I wish we got more of that, to be honest.
Yeah, because the whole plot point about him having to hide, which I know will be put in both our negatives, is like you could have come up with more creative solutions to that. But outside of that, do you have any more positives in this movie?
I liked when Venom would say random things, or like would express things that Eddie, the character, would be thinking about.
Yeah.
And he would just say it out loud.
It made you realize you're so
like how well connected they are.
Yeah. Because that moment in the third act where they stop talking to each other and he goes, buddy, and he doesn't reply back. Like, I actually got, that's the weird part where I got emotional, where I was like, oh, he didn't go, like he does. Hey. Genuinely, I can't understand him sometimes. That's why I watch these twice usually, even if I don't
subtitles.
Yeah, because I need to understand him the second time.
I think it's just me in general.
What, like, subtitles? Oh, yeah, I need them too. Especially for some reason when you're eating and you can't hear them.
Damn it, I'm chewing so loudly. I can't.
At the theater.
Yeah.
Also,
at the theater.
I already told you this, but I know we complain about people talking at the movies, or I do a lot.
You do.
I do a lot.
You're the one. Anytime you're like, Erwin, let's go watch a movie together. I'm like, no, heck no. You bring those audience members.
But you know which one I liked today was the one I told you were Nevada. And this happened twice, by the way.
Oh.
Nevada came on the screen, and the person next to my right said, "We were just there." And I was like, "Good for those guys."
Yeah.
But then somebody to my left, when they cut to New York, somebody went, "That's New York." And I was
good. That's good. I was like, yeah.
Like the Carol and Carol, you know what I'm talking about?
Carol and Carol.
Yeah, in the movie Carol.
I haven't seen Carol.
Well, that's the meme. Like, there's a really viral meme where somebody says, "That's Carol." And and I was like, I never thought I'd actually experience this in real life. Could you imagine seeing Venom and somebody goes, "That's Venom."
That's Venom. Or I'm watching Little Women, I'll go, and it's like the scene where they're all young kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's Little Women.
My Little Women. If I were to ask you any more positives...
Bro, no, there's no positives. Okay,
I'm going to make up one for him because I know...
No,
because I know you're forgetting one.
Oh, what?
I like the soundtrack as well. And
why did I forget about it? I don't care about the soundtrack.
You told me you like the songs in this. You literally messaged me.
That's
and
true.
I said,
I like the songs.
Yeah, you're like...
it wasn't that strong then, huh?
I also liked the scene where he was dancing, even though it was edited super weird. Because that leads me into our negatives. Let's go ahead and really deep dive here into all that.
Keep in mind, guys, I thought this movie was still okay.
I also thought this was okay, but for whatever reason, each time we watch one of these, we have way more negatives than we do positives.
Yeah.
It's just that I know we're both really nice to superhero things.
Yeah.
So when you know if we actually dislike a superhero thing, that's when you know that thing's like really bad.
I would love for us to review Fantastic Four.
Which one?
No, the bad one. The very bad one.
Oh, it was like all of them?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the older ones, like the early 2000 ones, are very cheesy.
Yeah, but they know what they are.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and... Where do we start here?
Let's talk about Venom. I mean, the fact that Venom himself...
Yeah, let's talk about the utilization of Venom in this, and I'll let you go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, he was rarely used in this movie to begin with, and the fact that they used the plot point of the fact that Venom and Eddie couldn't be together at all was like a plot point in this movie. And so majority of the time you could hear Venom, but Venom himself wasn't ever showcased at all throughout the like majority of this movie until like the very end of the movie. That's why he was like jumping from different animals and everything, and or just utilizing just the Venom like self.
Oh,
right? Like whatever.
Yeah, as a full thing.
Yeah, as a full thing, but never like fully transforming into Venom.
Yeah. Something that kind of drove me crazy about this is you can tell when a movie's been rewritten and reshot over and over, and this was written before the writer's strike, and you can tell because it runs into I'm going to call it the Rise of Skywalker issue, where they explain themselves into a hole. Where you're like, why is this even a rule? Why does this have to happen? In the sense of the whole, what do they call it? The Nexus, or what is it called?
The Codex?
Codex.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess Noel and the other aliens that come from the world that Noel's from.
Yeah. No, he even says, he was like, it's not a world, it's prison.
It's prison.
Yeah.
He's like, the Codex can free me. And I guess the fact that Venom himself had the Codex.
Dude, if I get one more like sci-fi jargony like English classes thing, I'm
just like, why is it that just because Venom and Eddie Brock had like such a strong connection that formed the Codex?
No, it's because the first time... So, genuinely, this movie... This is how it explains it. It doesn't make any sense. The first time he sacrifices himself, that's how they created the idea of a whole unit, like the symbiotic relationship. And I'm like, didn't they already have that? Why'd you write that in?
Yeah.
And that's why they try to explain it like that. So I was like thinking, wait a minute, didn't the symbiotes kill a bunch of people in the first one because they were experimenting on them? So how come these people connected with those other ones right away in the third act of this, other for the sake of convenience, I guess?
Yeah.
And I told you, we can excuse plot holes a lot when the movie's decent. But whenever it's not, is whenever you're like, I got a lot of questions and no answers.
Because it's like, if nothing else in the movie is entertaining you, you're like, what is...
The only part I was genuinely bored by was the lab stuff. And
mine was the family.
Okay.
And the lab stuff. Oh, the lab stuff.
Anytime...
I thought it was okay.
No,
the lab stuff was really
anytime
okay.
they would cut to Juno Temple and Chiwetel Ejiofor, and then they would just be doing... I'm like, what is Sony's obsession with this laboratory aesthetic? Why do they think that's the only way you can tell superhero stories? And then it reminded me of Jurassic World Dominion. And, like, I always have that... I had that issue with that movie, and I felt like it was way too long because so much of it was...
I have a soft spot for that movie.
I know you do, but I don't.
I have a hard spot.
Yeah. For, like, set in a lab. And,
for a lab?
But it's so sterile. It's so boring, I know. But,
nice.
And once they finally, whenever they like capture Tom Hardy, was whenever I was like, I don't want him to go to the lab,
dude,
because I thought they were gonna be like experimenting on this. Thankfully, they go straight past that.
They're like, "No, we're gonna kill you." I'm like, "All right, cool, let's go."
I respect it. And then they keep making a big deal out of the detective guy from the second one. I was like, dude, I do not remember this guy like at all. But the reason why I liked the family stuff is because there's genuinely, I think, an actually kind of really well done moment in the middle of this movie where I felt like it was taken straight out of my ideal version of what these could have been. I felt like these could have been a real deconstruction of fighting your inner self and fighting, like, the idea of a symbiotic relationship in Venom is so great. It's in Peter Parker's origin stuff where, like, it does kind of affect him long term in terms of how he acts and his attitude, and there is room to do that with Eddie Brock. I'm not one of those people that thinks that Spider-Man has to be there. I can see a situation in which you're dealing with the darker half of yourself if you're trying to be like a vigilante. You know who does that really well? Daredevil. That show executes that exact premise incredibly well. And here in the middle, when he's in the van in Vegas, there's this actually what I think is a really touching moment whenever he looks at this couple getting married, because you know how they have the thing in Vegas.
Oh yes. Where
he goes, "What could have been?" And I told you, I was like, is this movie commenting on itself? Is it commenting on, like...
I agree.
Yeah.
At the same time, but the way that Venom delivered those lines too,
you thought it was like goofy?
It was very goofy.
Yeah.
Especially when Eddie Brock was in the van with the family. And the little kid had a moment where it's like, I'm scared of aliens. Yeah. And then Eddie Brock's like, well, you shouldn't be. Because I'm an alien. You know?
And then he goes,
like that. That was
they're not real.
Yeah, he goes, they're not real. But I am one.
But they're not real.
They're not real. And then the little kid puts his head on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
You want me to demonstrate?
No. But... And then Venom goes, we could have had a family. You know, something like that. Yeah. Where it's just very plain. It's like, we could have had a family. And it just cuts to the next scene. And it was just said.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to the next scene.
Okay, but I think the issue there is in the editing, because this movie has weird editing problems.
Yeah, that's also true.
In it. And because I think that, like, if they just would have let that moment sit more...
The fact that Venom wasn't dancing more.
Oh, yeah. And it's in the title, guys. Come on now. But that was... Like, there are two well-done moments to me until you realize, wait a minute, you haven't earned this. It's been 3 movies, and you have not earned this moment at all. And
that seems like something they would definitely build up, like, throughout the movies.
Yeah.
I could see that happening, or even just in the first one alone, having that issue. Or, like, how to, like, deal with, you know, fighting with oneself.
Yeah. No, but it's such a great premise, which is why I think you and I talk about how my least favorite type of movie is one with missed potential, which I think is why, like, I was trying to break down, why do we get so irritated when we talk about these? Like, I was really trying to figure it out. I think it's that.
Yeah, because I think they just tiptoe around these ideas so much, but they don't execute it well whatsoever.
No, because if we were also to do this movie is a road trip buddy thing where
they were in California, like San Francisco.
Yeah.
So the other side of the United States, and then the fact that they were doing like a road trip movie down to Vegas, and then Vegas all the way down to New York.
Vegas is that way from California.
No, California is like Vegas, and then New York.
But they started in Mexico.
Oh yeah, they were in Mexico. Yeah. So they went from California to Mexico. Oh, then to Vegas.
Yeah.
And then New York. Okay.
Because honestly, I don't even know why he wants to go to New York.
Dude. And then whenever we were talking about how like in the trailer itself, when people were theorizing, where at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home,
which they retcon like scene, immediately.
Yes. And the fact that in the trailer you see the general guy like capture some of the Venom goo.
Yeah, and you see my boy Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso.
And I guess it's like completely different because he still left that Venom in the MCU.
Yeah.
But then I guess in the same scene and everything, it's different universe, that universe being the Sony verse.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. And it's just that happening too.
I gotta give this movie props though for explaining the reason why multiverse people kind of look the same. Like, because I think they did that with Danny Rojas' character to illustrate like this can look different, which is why we'll talk about the end credit scenes. But
dude, what's there? I don't know. It's confusing.
We'll get into it. But I do want to talk about. Do you think this movie's emotional ending worked?
No. No, because it just ends.
In theory, I'm gonna tell you something.
No,
the person to my left cried at genuinely, like whenever.
Did they have like a Venom case?
No, they didn't have a case of the Venoms or like
the case of the Venoms.
No, because it worked for me up until I realized that they didn't earn this ending at all, and. Because I did actually like the last shot, like how the last thing he says. I thought that was this movie genuinely. Like I keep telling you, they could have had that entire ending section the same, but just in a better movie.
Yeah.
Except for that fucking Maroon 5 song. I hate that song.
No, that wasn't Maroon 5.
It was Maroon 5.
No, it wasn't.
Maroon 5.
No, it wasn't.
I looked it up. They said.
What song was it?
Memories?
Memories? That wasn't Maroon 5.
Somebody told me that was Maroon 5, dude.
Let me see this.
All I'm going to say, though, is I do not like the song at the end of this movie.
I didn't like it. Dude, it made me laugh because I was like... and then they were doing flashbacks. Ow.
Dude, half the flashbacks at the end of this movie...
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah,
I don't know. Reminiscing on the good times. That's literally Venom 3 right here.
Wait, don't play it. We'll get flagged. But
Ow.
Half... Like, no, half of this stuff, though, like, that's played at the end, like, this is from this movie. Like, you got an edit, you got a montage there, you can put it on TikTok, and you can make your own, like, footage at the end of it. True. But the song was so dumb. It was such a dumb choice.
That was good. Me in third grade when
it'd be like
making a project.
No, me putting the, like, tonight's the night.
Let's live it up. But the best day of my life, American Authors. I lost my best friend. It's the best day of my life.
So we were to pick the ending of like a 2012. Venom came out in like 2007 because these do all feel like early 2000 superhero movies. That anyway. Is true. But so that none of that worked for you at the end of this. Do you have any other negatives here either?
Just the after credit scenes too.
Okay, let's talk
about.
I
don't really care about the after credit scenes when it comes to movies anymore. Because I do feel like it's oversaturated.
There are... Dude, you know the last one I think we got excited for was Transformers 1. That one was awesome.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
But with the after credit scenes in this movie, it was confusing. Not with Noel. I didn't really care about that one again. I was like, whatever, Noel's Noel. Let's see whatever goes.
Yeah.
If anything happens with that one. But with...
if anything happens with that.
The bartender.
Yeah.
Whenever he shows up again.
Yeah, at the very end.
And you see the cockroach next to the vial.
Yeah.
Of Venom. I would like to think they were hinting at the fact that Venom survived because a cockroach
That's
can survive.
Exactly what I thought it would be. It's why the marketing for this was driving me crazy. I was like, guys, we don't do trilogy endings. And the fact that Sony keeps saying Noel's our next big bad guy. Okay, then
to
how?
Where? How?
Yeah, to what?
Yeah. Whenever you were like, oh, I bet the after credit scene is where Noel meets up with Kraven the Hunter.
No. I think you meant my text. What I was trying to say is, I was like, let me guess. Nothing happens in this movie, which I was a little wrong, but also I was a little right too. Noel's just there, is what I meant. Yeah. And I was right. He doesn't do shit in this.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I agree.
But I thought Kraven, at least, I thought they would tease their next movie or something. Not that you have to, but I mean, I got the Kraven trailer before this, I guess. Not that I'm like eager for that movie.
You weren't craving it?
I'm not craving the hunt, not yet, but with this.
You're like a fuck.
No, actually, you know what? I like my end credit scene in my head where I was like, is he gonna see Venom and be like, my big hunt or something?
My next big hunt.
See,
that's good.
Come on,
yeah, that was good.
That makes sense. Unless like Madam Web showed up, like she's not gonna fight Noel. She doesn't do anything in her own movie.
Okay, man, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Or Morb.
Sydney Sweeney, what are you doing here?
No, or what's. No, they have that whole group of like spider ladies in that movie from 2 seconds at the end of it.
Isabel Merced, what are you doing here?
Isabella Merced, and then I do not remember the name of the third girl in that. You haven't seen that movie.
I haven't.
Do you have any other negatives? I will say I also didn't like the end credit scenes because I mean obviously Venom's alive. That's why genuinely I would have been really annoyed if the very ending, Venom came back already.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would have been like, I actually would have straight up given this a negative score if that would have happened. Because I'd have been like, then what was...
Eddie, I'm back.
I was like, well, then what was the point of any
I don't want to go fuck. I wouldn't care.
You already barely care.
Yeah, like, that's true. I honestly would love to see Tom Hardy interact with Tom Holland.
No, I'd love that as well, yeah.
Just because Tom Hardy himself already is a great actor.
Yeah.
And then Tom Holland... I mean, I think he's a good actor. I would love to see him.
He's got to prove. I know he has it in him, but just not yet.
Yeah,
he's in that Christopher Nolan thing coming out.
That's
apparently
true. With vampires, awesome.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, the one with it's like, apparently he's gonna do like a vampire period or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but
let's go ahead and. Do you have anything else to add here?
No.
Okay.
Oh, Matt Damon's gonna be in it.
In Venom?
No, in that Christopher Nolan apparently.
All right, Erwin. With Venom, The Last Dance.
Till death do they
part, dude. That poster tagline's funny.
All those posters were awful.
I don't.
Sony makes terrible posters.
There's a poster epidemic happening right now, though. Ugh. I like the one. What was the last thing we reviewed? But We Live in Time had that weird horse. But
no.
Let's go ahead and wrap up. Erwin, overall, what did you think of Venom: The Last Dance, and what is your score?
I thought it was okay. There were some scenes that I liked. I enjoyed Venom and Eddie Brock together on screen. That's it. I give it a 3 out of 5.
All right. With Venom: The Last Dance, I thought it was just fine. And I liked half of this movie, and I really did not like the very first half of it. Noel is stupid and bad, and could be set up for something cooler. But
hopefully. I don't know. It's voiced by Andy Serkis, and the voice itself is amazing.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then the end credit scene where he's like, I'm the darkness. I'm like,
all right,
dude, you've been doing the same shit the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's about it for me. I think that if you're a fan of those first two, this is the same fucking movie again.
Yeah, you'll probably love it then.
Yeah. And the action is okay and has some good ideas that I wish were executed better. But overall, I'm also giving this the same score, a flat 3 out of 5.
Yo.
So, Erwin, do you know what's up next?
No.
What's up next is a secret Halloween review that we're going to get out to you guys. We won't say what the horror movie is just yet, but keep an eye out for that. But after that, we are going to be reviewing Anora.
We are?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it, and it's finally coming to our area. So,
yay, let's go.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We will see you next time.
She broke me for it.
Eddie, I need more money.